Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell, give 'em a hand, and let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets It Rob with another Mets Hot Stove live right here on the channel. Hopefully everybody's having a good Tuesday night. And of course, we are going to be talking about Yamamoto, and the saga continues to come up with amazing stories once again. And we'll get all into the interesting details that came out earlier today in regards to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And this might take longer than this week. It might go past Christmas. And as we all know, the posting date and his last day to sign with a team is January 4th. And some believe that it might happen after Christmas now. And it's honestly, I see it like this, guys. Every day that it gets closer and closer to the date of where he has to sign or he goes back to Japan, only bows more in the favor of the Mets. Not because I'm biased, because if he's waiting longer to sign, just tells me that he's just looking for more and more money. And again, if he wanted to be a Dodger, he wanted to be a Yankee, he probably would get $300 million anyway. So just go to those two teams. I think that Cohen actually made a great personal connection with Yamamoto over going to Japan and bringing him to his house. And I think when it comes to a personal connection and the respect factor, we know with these Japanese players, when it comes to respect, I mean, nobody has gone more above and beyond than Cohen. And I have no problem with him continuing to milk more money out of the Mets, because if Cohen is willing to do all that, I don't think Cohen's going to get outbid. And do I believe that he 100% always wanted to be a Met? No, absolutely not. But I can say that about Carlos Beltran, who at the final hour went back to the Yankees to see if they would offer or they would match the Mets offer, and the Yankees said no, and Beltran was a Met. This is not something new that Met fans or the Mets organization had to deal with. They're always going to deal with, for the rest of eternity, the legacy of the Dodgers and the Yankees and other teams that might have better histories or longer histories than the New York Mets. It's just a fact. But if it was that cut and dry, the Mets would never get anybody, and the Yankees and Dodgers would get everybody. And we have this misnomer that besides Shohei Ohtani, we forget that Garrett Cole, who was growing up a Yankees fan, still got every penny, and the Yankees overpaid for Garrett Cole at the time. And we always forget that we act like these teams are not overpaying as well. Yet we think the Yankees are the only one. I always think there's always a New York tax, and sometimes there's a California tax with teams as well when it comes to that. But at the same time, you have to understand that each day that goes by, it looks better and better that the Mets have a better shot every day that goes by. Because the closer it gets to the day that he has to sign or he goes back to Japan, just puts more pressure on the other teams, because Cohen never has to be the first bid or the second bid. He has to be the last bid. You don't think that if the Dodgers throw out $300 million and the Yankees throw out $310 million, you think Yamamoto is not going to go back to the one guy who can give more money than everybody? He's going to go back to Cohen. So I know for a fact, because it's just common sense, that Yamamoto and Joel Wolf is a great agent. He's not stupid. That he's going to go to Cohen every single time the teams that are left on the market. Remember, there was no other teams supposedly that got a second meeting except for the Mets and the Yankees. And the Dodgers didn't even get a second meeting. I always thought all along it was the Mets and the Yankees. I don't think the Dodgers are more favorites than either one of those two teams. I think the whole Dodger thing is to spook the Yankees and the Mets into getting more money and doing things they probably wouldn't do otherwise, which is clearly working. Clearly. So, and I don't think that being under Ohtani's shadow is exactly what Yamamoto wants. Because all the attention is going to be on Ohtani on opening day and on spring training. All right, let me just check the comments really quick before. Jeff, if you're always going to have something stupid to say, I mean, why are you here? I just don't get it. You don't like what I have to say, I can find you another YouTube channel. Very easy to find. Well, Joe, that's the funny thing, right? We heard Hal Steinbrenner say that, and this was a couple of years ago when Cohen first came in, he doesn't believe that he needed $300 million payroll to win a championship, which I tend to agree with. But when you're already at a $260, $270 million payroll and you still need more for your team because you didn't win a World Series the year before and there was reasons for that, you have to spend more money because there's only so many trades you can make. So that's just a stupid comment from an owner that talks about shareholders and chicken buckets more than anything else. So, you know, I don't understand that. And look, the Dodgers are one of those teams that you don't hear about the money, right? They get who they want. If they want somebody, they go do everything they can to get them, right? They spent over $700 million this year in total, right? They spent a ton of money in free agency. They might do more, obviously, and nobody's batting an eye. I don't hear everybody saying, oh my God, look at the Dodgers. They're trying to buy a championship. Because if the Dodgers win a championship, it's not going to be about them spending money. It's going to be how great the organization is. That's the stupidity and the double standards. And now the Yankees are starting to get that double standard now too, because they're not spending at their capabilities and they're falling short of their goal, which is a championship. And now they're getting questioned. That's why Cashman had his outburst during the GM meetings and during the winter meetings as well. The fact of the matter is that Yamamoto is taking the most money. Now, if Cohen thinks that over $370 million is outrageous, then he's not going to go there. Then he's probably not going to be a Met. But I really doubt that any of these teams are going to go over 300, because we don't really know if it's going to be at $300 million. We heard rumors for a week or two now that the Giants and Boston offered him over $300 million. We know now, and the one person that we probably trust when it comes to information is Jeff Passan, said there was no offers on the table because there's not going to be until there's finalists. It's pointless to have 6 or 7 teams when you already know that you're probably only going to go most likely to 3 of them and let them bid against each other. Teams like the Phillies that look like they're in it, but not really. The Red Sox, I guess they can be in it mostly, but they didn't get second meetings either. So I really do wonder that, is it really over $300 million, or is that's just a media driven narrative? Because we haven't heard anything. The teams that actually matter, and that $300 million offer that you supposedly heard from the Yankees isn't true. So, and we just found out that also they weren't taking offers until yesterday. So numbers that are coming out now are probably more realistic than the numbers that they were prior. Because any team shouldn't start at $300 million. I think that's stupid, to be honest with you. No team, if the Yankees, Mets, or the Dodgers are the 3 favorites, right? Why would any of them start at $300 million? Right? I mean, every one of them is probably going to start at 250, 260 or something like that. And then Joel Wolf, his agent, is going to go to another team saying, hey, this is what this team offered. And they're going to offer more or not offer more. And then it's going to be a circle until every time Joel Wolf is going to call up Cohen for the last offer. And when Cohen doesn't go higher, the team that made that last offer is going to get Yamamoto. It's not rocket science. It's common sense. And that's exactly what they're doing, because his representative is doing exactly that. They're going in circles here. They're leaking out stuff here or there for certain teams. You don't think the leak from the Cohen dinner didn't come from Joel Wolf, the agent, just to spook the Yankees a little bit more? Absolutely. That was the whole point. No, Jeff, it's not small-minded, because you're bidding against yourself at that point. If Cohen knows that none of these teams are probably going to go past 350, you're not going to offer 350 right off the bat. It's just not smart business at all. At all. It's stupid business. And Cohen knows what he's doing when it comes to business, and he's not going to overbid for something that he doesn't have to. If he can get Yamamoto by doing 370, 325 and saving $25 million in that process, then why wouldn't anybody do that, no matter if it's the Mets or not? The fact of the matter is, Cohen knows that Yamamoto's team is going to go back to him for a final offer every single time. That's why Cohen, when everybody's like, oh, the Mets didn't make an offer yet, why do they have to make an offer? They don't have to offer because Cohen knows he's going to be the highest bidder. So he's probably told Yamamoto, listen, go to the Dodgers, go to the Yankees, get their best offer. Come back to me. Cohen has a limit. I think he does. But I know those other 2 teams have limits that are probably not higher than Steve Cohen. But Jeff, but they're already the finalists. That's the point. It's not like they're going with 6 or 7 teams on a constant rotation here. It's 3 teams. Should it? Yeah, I do speculate all these teams have money, because they do. I'm sorry, the Yankees franchise is worth $7 billion. The Dodgers have a group of owners that clearly have a lot of money to spend. But there's a limit, because I don't believe the Yankees are going to go over that Steve Cohen tax. And if they're going to go over a Steve Cohen tax, then I'd be shocked, to be honest with you. I think there's a limit. And if you really check the payroll of the Yankees, they're what about, because you're expecting arbitration to be, let's see, about $33 million for Soto. That's the only money they added. And obviously, with the trade, they probably saved about $1 or $2 million. So say about $30 million added to their payroll. They're only about 20 plus $25, $26 million from the highest tax threshold that was put in because of Steve Cohen, right? So, well, see, shoot, that's the thing, though, because, like, again, this goes for the Mets as well. But we know that Cohen would spend more if he needs to. The problem is, are the Red Sox going to sign Yamamoto and do 3 or 4 other moves to make them better? That's the point, and that goes for the Yankees as well, right? If the Yankees don't lose, say if they get Yamamoto, right? Are they done? Do you think that offseason is perfect? Because they got Yamamoto and Cole, which are probably one of the better 1 and 2s in baseball. But 3, 4, and 5, there's a lot of health issues and not a lot of guarantees. So they would have to go. You know what I'm saying? So, well, Mike, that's the thing. Or would they trade Torres, which I think that's probably on the table to maybe get another pitcher in there. We heard about that for a couple of years now, that they would trade Torres for a pitcher. They're not getting rid of Stanton. Nobody's trading for Stanton. No team is going to want Stanton. The Yankees aren't paying Stanton to go elsewhere. It's just not happening. And Stanton has a no-trade clause who he can say no to every trade. So the Yankees are between a rock and a hard place with that. No, shooter, I understand that. They do have a young core, but Yamamoto is not enough. They really don't have much in the pitching situation right now either. So I don't think the Red Sox are even anywhere near the favorites. They have to blow out everybody over the water, but it's just a matter of, is Cohen willing to do whatever it takes? Because if that's the case and Yamamoto is dragging this out because of money, because I don't see what other reason why he's dragging it out. If he knows the team, he would sign already, especially if it's the Yankees or the Dodgers. Yeah, well, Jeff, I listen to the fan all day. Again, Sal and BT, they're just, maniacs. And, it's like, look, the fact of the matter is, if the Yankees or the Mets, whoever signs them, Sal or BT are just going to be unbearable. And I like Sal. I've met Sal Licata many times. I've seen him at the QBC. I spoke with him many times. I've talked to him near the SNY set many times. He's a good guy, personally. But one of them is going to be very obnoxious if those guys, if one of those teams, like if the Mets get him, Sal Licata is going to be unbearable, even for Met fans. It's going to be obnoxious, because I'm not one of those fans who, look, I have a lot of coworkers that are Yankee fans, right? We go back and forth every single day, right? But I'm not one of those people to, laugh at other teams or get on other fans in their face. I'm not that type of fan, right? I root for my team. I criticize my team, and that's basically it, right? And you can even go back to 2022, and people who've been following my channel for a while know I said this, even when the Mets were one of the best teams in baseball, running away with the NL East in 2022. I said this. I said, you can be confident, but don't be cocky. That was one of my lines that I said many times in 2022 when we were running away with everything, because it's baseball, it's sports, anything can happen. And to make a mockery of other fan bases is silly. I know I'm going to get trolled on here. I mean, I'm putting myself out there on YouTube. I'm expecting trolls. I'm expecting Yankee fans, Dodger fans, Philly fans, Brave fans, whatever fans trolling my channel. And the comments that people send doesn't affect me. I'm not going to go cry in the corner. I'm a man. Like, I have no problem going back and forth with you guys. Like, that's the whole point, right? I mean, I told the story before when I was in Philadelphia. 2 years ago, I was in a section at Citizens Bank Park where there's a lot of drunks, a lot of stupid kids, a lot of college kids, probably a little bit more grown. And listen, I got beer and hot dogs thrown at me. You think I'm gonna punch somebody over in the face for a baseball game? If they want to be ignorant and act like children, that's fine with me. You can act like that. But expect a very interesting couple of words that I have to say to you, because I'm not going to physically touch somebody unless you hurt somebody that I love. So that's the way it goes here. Well, Jeff, Keith McPherson is the biggest waste of time on the radio. He's the guy that has no talent, but the only way he gets any type of eyes towards him is if he says stuff like that. Like, I mean, he's a troll. He's the biggest troll that happens to have a guy in Spike that runs the Odyssey WFAN platform and hired him because of the fact that they weren't diversified enough on the fan, which I agreed with. It's just that Keith, Tiki Barber, even though I didn't like him as a player because I'm a Cowboys fan and he's a Giant, he's a guy that is coming from his player perspective, but also he's not a stupid guy, right? He's smart. He's not an idiot. So, but it came back to the diversification issue when it came to Keith McPherson. If you knew about the hiring process with WFN, it was a huge deal. So, and it wasn't about getting more Yankee fans that were on the radio as Yankee fans. It wasn't even a case. Again, I'm very involved with that situation with WFN when it came to hiring, and I know the hiring platform and the hiring agency that they used, and that agency that they used that I've known very well, they actually have a very much of a way to use the political gain to what they wanted on the fan. So it just worked out that way. And again, I went back and forth on Twitter a couple of times with Keith McPherson because he showed himself 2 years ago in 2022 when the Mets took the both games at Citi Field, and he was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. These games aren't important." Yet when the Yankees beat the Mets in Yankee Stadium, he was on Twitter acting like a child, saying, "Oh, told you, look how great the Yankees are, World Series champs, all this other stuff." And all of a sudden, he cared when the Yankees won. But yeah, he's the first one to leave the ballpark. Like last year, when he even brought it up on the radio that, "Oh, this team's done. He don't care. He don't care." And exactly. And then all of a sudden, he didn't want to talk about the Yankees when people brought it up on the radio because they were bad. So he's a front runner. He is one of those Yankee fans that is a diehard until it goes bad. And then he acts like a complete idiot because he runs away when his team is bad. Lucky for him, the Yankees haven't been bad. And you really see the real Yankee fans when a year like last year happened, when they were basically out of it. Everybody knew they were out of it for like 2-3 months. And you know that. And you see the real Yankee fans. I see it at my job. I said I work with a lot of Yankee fans. So, and I see the real one from the fake one. Sometimes you have to be realistic about your team, right? I'm not going to sit here, and I didn't even do it in 23 either. The Mets won 101 games, even though they didn't win the division. They had that division won. They choked it away, right? I didn't come back in the offseason of 2023. And when I do my division projections, I didn't pick the Mets to win the New York Mets because I'm realistic about my team. I don't think any fan base should say, "Oh, this team is going to be the division winner because they're my favorite team." No, I always believe if a team that you have to catch up to, or you have to win a division to get any type of respect, that goes for the Phillies and the Mets. The Braves are going to get my nod every single time until somebody takes them off that pedestal. That's the way I see it. Well, you know what, Right Wing? You know what's funny about that? You guys know I work overnights. You guys know that, like I said, I constantly listen to the fan because, I can listen to music all day. That's fine. But I'm more into the sports radio. I always been like that and listen to it 24/7. It doesn't affect me as much as it used to. Like, I'm a grown man now, right? Not everything affects me. Like when they say it on the radio, I know what they're doing now, right? They constantly say stuff they probably don't believe 100%, but just to get actual people routed up and to call the fan and to get eyes on their Twitter or whatever. That's what they do. So it doesn't really bother me, but it's entertaining to me because I get through my day quicker. So that's the way I see it. Oh, no. Well, technically I'm on my feet, but But still, geez, Jay. Well, I mean, I have my fans and I don't have my fans. So again, I appreciate that. And listen, I thank you. But again, I'm one of those people. Nowadays, I'm just listening for the entertainment value. Now, it's just laughable to me now. Again, I work overnight, so I'm going to work listening to Keith McPherson, going into Chris McMonagle, and then going into the warm up show with Alan Jerry, and then Boomer Esiason for a couple hours before I go home. So I'm listening to 3 or 4 shows a night every day while I'm working. So I hear Keith McPherson probably more than anybody because the time I work. So I hear a lot of his nonsense, and I called up the fan before and got into it with Keith. I think it was probably when he first came on the air. I think it was 2022 or something like that. And yeah, I called up and I gave it to him. And it probably is somewhere on the Odyssey app. I don't remember, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But hey, what are you gonna do? Shooter, my hours fluctuate at night. It can be anywhere from 10 at night all the way until 1 a.m. When I start, and then I stay until I finish usually. So I'm usually like, if I go in at 11 o'clock, I won't get home until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So yeah. Oh, what the hell I do with my phone? I don't know. My phone's somewhere on the bed, I think. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Oh, where is my phone? All right. Yes, I do work tonight, unfortunately. Yeah, the smooze was fun. All right, hold on, guys. I'm just checking Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Give me a second. I see people putting Martino. Brian Yamamoto is a Dodger. Well, okay. I think the phone would have been blowing up if that was the case already. Yeah, I don't see nothing, guys. I mean, it's just the same old nonsense that we've been tweeting all day. Truth Social is on his only way. Yeah. So most of you guys know I'm a forklift driver, right? I work at Costco. You guys know I'm doing it for a while. So I pull in the trucks and all that fun stuff. So I'm constantly on the freaking forklift, stand-up forklift for about 9-10 hours. So yeah, I need to listen to something. I got my headphones here, constantly charging them there. Of course, Jeff. Of course. Well, Shooter, I mean, they've been the best team in baseball for many years now, and they had to wait until a fake world championship and a clown season to win. So again, I would never give credit to the Dodgers for winning a 60-game season World Series. I'm sorry. I don't honestly, guys, and you might not want to believe this or not, but if the Mets would have won that World Series, I would feel so embarrassed as a fan saying that we won the 2020 World Series. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about, wearing the shirt that says champion 2020 or wearing putting the flag up or hats or anything like that. You're a fan, appreciate it. But like to moan on about it like it's the best thing in the world when it should be a little bit of a hesitant embarrassment to actually talk about that because it's silly. I don't care if all the teams had the same schedule, which they didn't, right? There was divisions that were better than others, and that's only teams you faced were the Eastern teams or the Central teams or the Western teams, right? And it was neutral sites for the postseason until you had a couple of fans during the World Series. So I don't see it as a world championship because I know. Look, the Mets dominated the Dodgers in the playoffs ever since the last time the Dodgers beat the Mets in '88. The Dodgers can't beat the Mets in the playoffs ever, even when the Dodgers were tremendously better than the Mets. So, like, it comes back to the same situation, right? I don't know, Jeff. I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, nobody really knows how good he's going to be in the major leagues. Senga is not better than Yamamoto. Is probably not better than Shota Imanaga. Yet he had a couple of Cy Young votes, and he almost won the Rookie of the Year. And he had a really good season. So if he matches what Senga does or a little bit better, well, then I would take that. I mean, I think money's irrelevant now in baseball because of the fact that everybody is overpaid. I mean, did you see what Michael Walker got? I mean, how did Michael Walker get a 2-year deal, almost $40 million? Like, it's crazy to me. Like, Severino coming off his worst season gets 10 million. Guys that are in their late 30s are getting 15, 14, 15, 60 million dollars. Everybody, all these pitchers are getting overpaid. So all these guys are getting overpaid. So I see it like this is the way I see it. I see it as we're too focused on the contract than just worrying about the players that are on the team, right? A guy like Lindor, a lot of Met fans and a lot of people around the league think Lindor is not one of the better shortstops in baseball when he statistically is. He's one of the better defensive shortstops in baseball. He puts up similar numbers throughout his career, and he's been extremely good for us. And am I telling you he's worth $30 million a year? Absolutely not. But who is? You look at it from a contract perspective, nobody's going to live up to it. I can tell you, look, Judge was getting paid $40 million. Did he live up to his first year? Absolutely not. It's the way I see it. I see it like this. Any long-term deal, like say if Pete Alonso gets a 9-year deal from the Mets for an extension, right? If you get half of that contract to what Alonso's been throughout his career and put up those numbers, I think it's a win. That's the way I see it with these contracts. Like any contract that's like a 9, 10, 11-year deal, I see it like this. Now, championship is not an individual player, obviously. It takes more than that. So you can't just blame that guy. If you win a championship within the 10-year contract of Pete Alonso, and he put up 5 years in a row of similar Pete Alonso type numbers, and then slowly rolls off, gets worse over those next 5 years. You got a championship, and you had 5 solid years for him. I don't see why anybody should complain. Yeah, right wing. I don't agree with that because last year was a year that I can name nearly the whole entire Yankee roster besides Cole. That was a complete disaster. I think the Yankees had a huge problem on their hands, and I think Severino basically given up because I think the Yankees treated him like dog crap. And I think that he just didn't care anymore. I think the change of scenery is going to help him a lot. Yeah, see, I'm surprised a lot of people want JD Martinez more than Justin Turner. I'm not sure why. JD Martinez, yeah, he had a great year with the Dodgers, but I don't trust that back at all. At least with Justin Turner, you can actually play him at third base every now and then. He's like a safety blanket if Beatty decides to shit the bed again in that situation. So that's where I am when it comes to that. Again, I would be happy with either or, to be honest with you. Obviously, if you get JD Martinez, you better hope his bat's going to be there because he can't do nothing else. He'll be another Vogelback who can't play any other position except DH. Yeah, I think we tend to don't realize that 4th and 5th starters are guys who have 4.5 ERAs or at least 4 ERAs or higher. Like we have this notion that we have 4 and 5th starters that are pitching to a 3 ERA. It's rare, if at all. Like it doesn't happen. So if you're trying to find 4th and 5th starters that pitch below a 4 ERA, you're going to be looking a long way because it just doesn't happen in baseball. What you need in baseball now is a bona fide ace and solid pitchers throughout your rotation. That's it. At least solid pitchers that throw to a 3.5 ERA as your second and third starter. And then your fourth to fifth starter, you just hope they give you innings and keep you in the ball game. That's basically what baseball is now. No, Henry, I didn't say we were looking for an everyday third baseman. But the fact of the matter is, you can't go into the season saying, I trust Beatty or Vientos at third base. Because if they suck, you have nowhere to turn to. What are you going to turn to another prospect? You're going to turn to a Jet Williams? That might be okay, but you're also going to take a chance on another prospect that might not do the job. The fact of the matter is, if Brett Beatty doesn't work out and Vientos doesn't work out, you can have him playing third base a couple of days a week, and he's going to do a solid job because he's a worthy veteran who still can play the game. I'm not saying to play him 6 days, 6 days a week. But Gio Urshela is another one the Mets are looking at, which, again, that would be the smartest move out of all of them defensively, because Urshela, he is coming off a serious injury. But when I saw that the Mets were looking into Urshela, if you look at his injury reports, they really have a detailed medical situation about him that because he did the surgery when he did the hip surgery, that they're saying that it's looking like he's going to go to 100%. Again, we're not making Gio Urshela to be a guy that we're going to need a lot of offense from. He's a guy that still bats 270, 275, which is pretty good in baseball nowadays. So, Richard, why wouldn't he doesn't want to be a Met? Anybody that was around when he was a Met is not there anymore. Olson, the Wilpons, Katz, they're not there anymore. Well, Richard, we're not, because, let's be honest. It's not like, guys are coming off the board and teams are making moves left and right. Nothing's happening at all. So, and until Yamamoto signs, I don't expect anybody else to be signed yet either. Gabo, that's a good point about the Urshela Venezuelan connection. Well, yeah, sure, I understand that, but there's a pretty good chance that Walker was going to fall off a lot quicker than Giolito, because Giolito's 30 years old and Walker's 33, 34? So, all right, hold on, guys. Easy. I think Giolito could probably get a little bit more. Would he sign a 1-year deal, 1-year prove-it deal? Maybe. But, you see, again, we're looking at the years and numbers here, when teams are not looking at the years and numbers or at least the money aspect anymore when it comes to these pitchers. They're not, right? There's so much importance of arms where they're not looking at it anymore. Like honestly, they're not. They're just going what they believe is going to help this rotation. That's what these teams are doing now. Like, honestly. Hold on, guys. I'm checking the comments. Give me a second. Yeah, easy. It's funny. Steve Phillips is definitely a guy. He was a former Mets GM, and we know he did a decent job for the Mets. But yeah, I believe Steve Phillips. I don't think, again, I don't see why. When I look at the Yamamoto situation, I think if he was going to the Yankees or Dodgers, it would have been a done deal already. That's just my opinion. If he's going anywhere else, not just the Mets, if he's going to the Red Sox or the Giants or the Mets, I think the longer it takes, the more beneficial it's going to be to those teams who are a little bit more desperate than the Yankees and the Dodgers are. Because let's be honest, the Yankees and the Dodgers aren't desperate at this point. They made their big moves. Why, Robbie? Because if you don't know anything about Japanese players, they show a sign of respect, right? And while they were in New York, and again, it's simple business. It's not hard to realize. there's no look. If Steve Cohen knows he only has the Dodgers to deal with, who just already made a big signing in Ohtani, and really is not desperate for Yamamoto, you expect that the Yankees were going to be one of the finalists anyway. He was in New York. Of course, he's going to call the Yankees. If people went crazy that happened. Like, what were you expecting? Him not to call the Yankees? I mean, you just got to be naive. I don't think anything of it except it's a smart move by his agent. But what nobody likes to talk about is the fact that Yamamoto and nobody, because I didn't hear no reports, and nobody said anything about him flying to New York to meet with the Mets. That happened out of nowhere, no? That just didn't miraculously happen. And again, I'm not saying that the Mets are the favorites. I don't think there's a favorite. I just think that's the media needing something to talk about and needed some clicks. I don't think there is a favorite. I honestly think Yamamoto is more between and still trying to figure out where he wants to go. I think it's obvious it's probably between the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers. Like, I honestly think that these players are so pulled in so many directions, including their agent who are pulling them in many directions, because if you're a smart agent, you want to get the most money you can for your player, right? But if the player doesn't want to play somewhere, it's hard to get the most money if that one team is able to give a lot of money, right? So the fact of the matter is that if he didn't want to be a Met, he could still get a ton of money by letting the Yankees and Dodgers compete against each other. The Mets don't have to be involved for that to happen. We learned that with Ohtani, right? It had to be the Dodgers and another team that was very desperate. Ohtani found a team in the Blue Jays, which we all knew that he wasn't going to, except the Blue Jays, that was desperate for a batter, for a hitter, for a big name. The fact of the matter is, these players can find two teams. As long as they have the pocketbooks to do so, they're going to find those two teams. They don't need more than that. Yeah, but Robbie, that doesn't even make sense, to be honest with you. Like I've just been saying, he can use the Yankees and Dodgers for that and get well over $300 million for that. The fact that he's still speaking to the Mets should be a little bit more of an indicator that he is thinking about the Mets more than people or the media is given any credit for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a respect factor that matters to these Japanese players. Cohen has gone above and beyond twice now that no other ownership or team has done. Now, that might not matter at the end of the day, but if he chooses the Mets, all the media is going to talk about is the money, but nobody's going to bring up the fact of Cohen doing what he did twice to show an ultimate sign of respect. That's all you're going to hear. You're not going to hear one reporter say, "Oh, Steve Cohen, inviting Yamamoto and his agent and other people to his home with his family, and Stearns and Mendoza and Hefner and all those guys." They're not going to talk about that. You know why? Because it doesn't hype up a fan base. It doesn't piss off a fan base, right? It doesn't add clicks to them or views to their articles or whatever. But money will. I already said this. If the Dodgers sign Yamamoto, no matter what the price is, it can be outrageous, like $350 million for 10 years. They will not bring up the price one time. The only reason why Ohtani offer or the contract was a big deal was because of the deferments. Nobody talked about the $700 million like it was a big deal. They talked about it because of the deferments. If the Yankees sign Yamamoto to an outrageous deal, it's not going to be about the money. It's going to be about, it's the pinstripes, it's the legacy, it's the number 18 That's all they're going to talk about. But if the Mets sign him, it's going to be all about the money. That's it. It's a double standard that Met fans should be well aware of and used to and not be mad about it. It's just how it goes. Jeff, how confident are you that we sign Soto next winter? I'll be confident once he becomes a free agent. I think he's not going to sign an extension, but he's a Boris client. Boris clients don't take less money anywhere, ever. So if the Mets really want him and they're going to give him the most money, he'll be a Met. It's not a confident situation. It's just it's a common sense situation, right? Scott Boras is his agent. He's going to the team that gives him the most money. If that's the Yankees, well, it's the Yankees. If it's the Mets, it's the Mets. If it's, I don't know, the Giants, it's the Giants or whoever. It's the Red Sox, it's the Red Sox. Blue Jays times, you know what? I don't necessarily believe that. Honestly, I think there's more and more teams that don't want to play for the Yankees. The Dodgers, maybe. But there's more and more players that are starting to dislike and not want to play for the Yankees. You know, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's going to be a free agent after this year, said that he hates the Yankees. And that's a star in the league. And I think there's a lot of players that believe that and that really have that not liking of the Yankees, because the Yankees think that they're better than everybody else. And you can just look at their fans. You know what I'm saying? And not all of them, because I have fans, Yankee fans, that are realistic. And, you know, they talk shit just like I do, you do, everybody does. But there's some Yankee fans that think they've won championships over the last, 5 years in a row. They got to remember, it's not the late 90s anymore. It's not how it is anymore. Like, the Dodgers have done exactly what you have done over the last 10 years, except win a championship, right? Why do the Yankees get more credit than the Dodgers? It doesn't make sense. When the Yankees choke just as much as the Dodgers, but at least the Dodgers made World Series at the very least. Well, yeah, it's hard to think that Yamamoto is not having that type of thought process, Robbie. Just because, like, again, if he wasn't worried about the money, why wouldn't he want to go to the two teams that everybody talks about legacy in the Dodgers and the Yankees? He would get $300 million from one of them just by them two bidding. That's why having the Mets still involved, and he went to go see a second meeting with the Mets. I know we had one with the Yankees, but the Yankees didn't plan for a second meeting. The Mets clearly did. I think that's a big deal. Yeah, Mike, I understand the clean cut and all that stuff. I mean, I played in high school with a coach who was a diehard Yankee fan, and that's all he talked about. Like, we weren't allowed to have beards, long hair, anything. Like, we literally had to be clean shaven in high school. You know how hard that was in high school to, not do what the hell you wanted? But my coach was a diehard Yankee fan. It was just past the 90s. The late 90s, when they were winning all those championships. It was like, all right, Richard, we'll keep on talking about JT Realmuto, right? You forgot who was the GM, right? This was JT Realmuto and Sandy Olson, who was the GM, who thought JT Realmuto was going to get a lot more than he did from the Phillies, and he pivoted to James McCann. No, Jaylee, I never said $300 million for 10 years will do it. I never said that. I don't know what you heard, but I didn't say that. I'm saying no team is going to go in at a crazy high bid when, why would they right away? That's not good negotiating. That's not good business at all. If you can get Yamamoto at 325, why would Steve Cohen have to go to 360 if nobody's willing to go past 310? You know what I'm saying? Like, That's just the obvious fact. All right, hold on, guys. I'm just looking at any of the comments. Richard, I appreciate that, buddy. Well, you know how they are when it comes to football with WFAN, but that's okay. Hold on, guys. Just checking. And I appreciate everybody. We're over 200 tonight. That's awesome, guys. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in to Mets Hot Stove. Make sure you hit on that like button, guys. Let's get over 100 likes today. And if you can take a second, share this stream, share it on your social media pages. Hold on. Something happened with Andy Martino. What's going on? I see people right. Hold on. Hold on. Am I missing something here? Hold on, guys. I'm checking. Am I missing something here? I don't see anything. All right, hold on. Now, was this from Martino's tweet an hour ago? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wait a second. I'm like, usually my phone blows up like crazy if there's something that's crazy going on. Yes, guys. So make sure you hit on that like button, share the stream to your social media pages. You know, Met fans, you know anybody. Listen, you don't got to be a Met fan to subscribe to this channel. I know there's some YouTubers that don't like fans of other teams on their channel, you know, trolling or talking baseball. I don't care. Right? I've said this many times. About 25% of my subscribers are fans of other teams because I might not always, you know, yeah, my bias comes out as a Met fan sometimes, but I'm usually fair to all the teams, you know, because I'm very blunt. I'm honest with you guys. Like, just, you know, I'm not saying I'm right all the time because I'm sure as hell is not, but, you know, it's the way I see it. You know, I look at it like if I criticize my team every single day, right? I was known a couple of years ago when I first started this channel as a complete negative Met fan, and now people are saying that I'm a homer. So I don't understand. Like in 2021, I thought the bias shade was absolutely ridiculous, and you know, people are like, oh, why you got to be a hater? Why you got to be a downer? Why you got to be a negative Met fan? Well, I mean, not a lot of positives to be about, right? Now people think that I'm a homer and I'm a shill for the Mets, which I don't work for the Mets. All right, hold on, guys. So we're gonna end this in a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, I gotta, you know, feed my cat, take a shower, and then start going to work soon. So, unfortunately, I can't, you know. But again, don't get me wrong, guys. I do have a feeling though that I think Yamamoto is gonna sign before Christmas. I think there's stuff that's gonna take past Christmas. I don't see that. I really don't see that. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I think it's because all we heard was that he's going to sign before Christmas. So we'll see. Yeah, Jay, I got my. Well, actually, he's in my closet right now. My cat. He likes to sleep like there's shelves. So I left a little spot for him that he lays on. I don't know why he likes it in there, but he does. But he stays in there a lot and comes out to eat and bother me sometimes. But yeah, if he was not in the closet, I'd go get him and show him to the world. So yeah, so listen. Jeff, you're funny. So remember, guys, it's a tough situation now because Yamamoto is holding up. It seems like the entire pitching market, and the majority of the big names that are left are mostly pitching. So unfortunately, we have to wait because you know there's a domino effect. Unfortunately for us, Ohtani was basically the only big bat that was really out in the free agent market. I mean, if there was like 3 or 4 big bats on the market, when Ohtani would sign, you'd have saw those other players sign quickly. You know, Bellinger, I think, is more of a I wouldn't consider him a big bat, but he's like the next one under Ohtani. I think teams are scared to give him what we believe. Well, what you heard today, that Bellinger's looking for $200 million. Like, yikes. I mean, if I'm a team that needs a bat, I'd be worried about giving Bellinger that much money. I think that's the problem with Bellinger. I think teams are a little scared off because they saw his MVP season and they wish they would get that, but they also saw 3 seasons in a row that was a complete disaster. And then, oh, by the way, in a contract year, he figures out a way to have a great year. So, it's scary. It's really, I really think it's scary. So I think that's why it's taking longer with Bellinger, because I think a team is, they have to put that risk and reward situation with Bellinger. Would you want to give him 6 years, 7 years, $200 million, and he becomes back to the player he was a few years ago? Then you're in trouble. You're out on all that money. So, Greg Turner, I wouldn't mind the Mets sign Justin Turner. I already said this. I think it would be a good move. He could play a little bit at third base just in case if Beatty and Vientos are complete disasters at third base. And obviously he can DH. Teoscar Hernandez, I haven't heard a word about the Mets being interested in Teoscar Hernandez. Again, I wouldn't mind Teoscar Hernandez either. I wouldn't mind Jorge Soler either. I mean, any of those bats are better than what the Mets had at DH alone over the last couple of years. So, yeah, I know, Jeff. It's a weird scenario, but it's legal, unfortunately. I think California has a lot more other problems than worrying about a few evasive taxes from a player that's not earning those money in California. I think they have a lot else to worry. Well, Lourdes Gurriel signed back with the Diamondbacks, so he's off the table. Oh, I do. My cat Shay came out of the closet, but he did it. All right, guys. So let's finish it up. Last minute questions. Last couple of minutes of the show. So the bidding has begun. I'm assuming we're going to start hearing numbers and years and money over the last couple of days. Real offers in the next coming days. We'll see if he does sign before Christmas. Christmas is about what is it? A week away? 5 days away? 6 days away? 5 days away, right? Jesus, it's quick, man. December flew by quickly. It's already going to be 2024. The Mets have interest in Gio Urshela. Again, that's probably more of a defensive option than anything else. I think if the Mets go on the defensive side, yeah. So we'll see. Justin Turner is still an option. I would assume so. I wouldn't be shocked if the Mets sign Yamamoto. If they do sign Yamamoto, they would pivot to Giolito as a number 3. I know a lot of people don't like that. So it is what it is. But yeah, I know a lot of people are bringing up $400 million. It's like, again, I don't think it's going to get that high, guys. I just don't think so. So I just don't believe it's going to go that far. Yeah, see, Jeff, here's the thing with Imanaga, though. It's just that if the Mets don't get Yamamoto, right, you would think they would need 2 more pitchers, right? Obviously. There's only lefties on the market besides Giolito. So, like, are they going to sign, Montgomery and Imanaga? Now you got 3 lefties in the rotation, and that's a little – I don't like that. So, we'll see. But I like Imanaga. Like I said, would I be shocked if the Mets go out and get Yamamoto and then sign Imanaga, and then you have a Japanese rotation for the first 3? Maybe. But I don't like having too many lefties in a rotation. I like that difference. Even though they do pitch a little differently, still. Well, yeah, the posted fee is part of the contract, though, percentage-wise. Mike Clevenger, he hasn't been healthy, and I don't trust him. Well, Explosive, you know what? We're not the only team thinking that he has to be worth it, right? There's a lot of teams that think he's going to be. If he's anything, look, Do I expect them to be an under 2 ERA in Major League Baseball? No. If you expect that, you're going to be very disappointed, in my opinion. So, listen, I think if you get anything under a 3 ERA, I think you got to be very excited about, because it's just that's how it is. Oh yeah, Jeff. Of course they want it because they get the percentage. I think what is it, 30 something percent of the total contract. So of course the Japanese team wants them to take the most money because it gives them a higher percentage going back for a posting fee. So, well, explosive. Do you think he's going to start dominating? I mean, no. Well, I mean, he might be worth that, but again, he might be worth that because he's pitched well in Japan. Again, we don't know. I mean, it's more and more you seeing these Japanese pitches translate better to Major League Baseball than they did 15 years ago. So there's a lot less risk now. But I mean, I don't think he's going to be a bad pitcher. But if you're expecting him to be a under 2 ERA pitcher in Major League Baseball, don't expect that because you're going to get disappointed. So Chapman, Chapman stock like which Chapman? Aroldis Chapman or Matt Chapman? Well, Jeff, if you look at his windup, he tilts his shoulder a little bit more when he throws, which is a better windup and better release point than guys who's been often injured who has a straight shoulder while they're throwing. And if you look at Jacob deGrom, if you look at guys that's been injured often over the years, they've been throwing and their shoulder and both shoulders have been aligned. Yamamoto's case, it's a little tilted, so it's better. It's supposed to be better on the arm. So we'll see. Matt, I don't think they're going to go after Matt because of the qualifying offer. Because like I don't think it's the money. I think it's the qualifying offer. They don't want to lose a draft pick, and I think that's the issue. The next show, I'm going to see if I can get a couple of the guys together to do a roundtable. We might do it tomorrow, might do it Thursday. But I'm definitely doing a show on Thursday. It's just a matter of what news we're going to get for whatever it might be. I'm going to try to get a couple of the guys here tomorrow. If not, there'll definitely be a show on Mets Hot Stove on Thursday. All right, guys. So we're going to end the show right now. We had over 200 today in the stream. So that's awesome. I do appreciate it. Again, I wish I would have brought you news that we all want to hear. The Mets signing Yamamoto, but not yet. Jay Lee, I appreciate it. Keep on coming back for more. And before you go, guys, if you haven't hit that like button, please do. And again, if you are a new subscriber of the channel, I do appreciate it. Keep on coming back for more. And hopefully we get some good news on Yamamoto and the Mets very, very soon, because it would make Met fans get that excitement back a little bit more than what they have been having over the last couple of months. So with that said, everybody have a great night. Another Mets Hot Stove in the books. I'll see you next time, guys. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Have a great night.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball.